How was the show, Barbara?
It was great. Thank you. It was really
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God. All went well. The weather was good, although a little hot, but it was good.
We had our own private because our oldest granddaughter is going to Israel today for the
Oh,
year.
so nice.
Well, it is nice, but it's sad.
Hard for you, I'm sure. Well, I
Yes.
hope the send-off went well. Okay. We're going to get started on a Rashi for today. This is Tuesday. We're going to do a Rashi from the third Aliyah, actually just where we left off yesterday, right after that section. Yesterday, we're talking a little bit about Hashkifa, the kind of brazen request at the end of Vidui Meiser, at the end of the confession that we make about all the things we did right in terms of giving Meisers over the years. And then we demand of Hashem in a kind of chutzpahdik way that he fulfill his end of the bargain after we fulfill our end of the bargain. We talked about that yesterday. Very next pasuk, which is the first pasuk of our Aliyah today, the third Aliyah, is sort of the introduction to the whole concept of the renewed bris, the renewed covenant that Moshe Rabbeinu was going to make with the Jewish people now on the eastern side of the Yarden before he dies and before they go into the land of Israel. So they had the bris of Sinai, they had the bris that happened when they got the Torah, the covenant that they made with Hashem, Nasa v'Nishma, and now this is called the bris of Arvos Moav, the bris on the banks of the Jordan River. This is a whole new generation of Bnei Israel that arose over the course of the 40 years in the desert, and therefore there's a need to enter into a new covenant, both because they're new people, even though the covenant would kind of last from generation to generation, because they were a new generation, Hashem and Moshe wanted them to enter a new covenant. Plus, as we understand it, there were new aspects to this covenant that didn't exist perhaps in the covenant at Sinai, that took a while to come into being as we formed into a nation. So for example, we say that this bris on the eastern side of the Yarden was the bris of the creation of Arvos, the creation of dependency one on another of the Jewish people, the creation of, responsibility one for the other in the Jewish people. So that was a new aspect perhaps to this bris that didn't exist before. But either way, this whole section now, the third Aliyah, the fourth Aliyah, even to the Tochacha, and then leading, of course, the death of Moshe, the crossing of the Yarden, the ceremony, Har Grizim, Har Eval, which is going to be described now, but going to take place later in the time of Yoshua, all that is...
Get a chance, could you take this stuff out?
No, I thought you wanted to leave it there until you were ready.
All that is part of the package of the new bris, the new covenant that the Jewish people are entering. So our psukim here are sort of the preamble to that, setting the stage for the bris. And the pasuk opens, Hayom hazeh, Hashem Elokecha mitzav chalasus hachukim ha'ela, ve'es ha'mishpatim, ve'shamarta v'asisa osam b'chol v'avcha b'chol nafshcha. As you see, it's a very introductory phrase, like a big opener to all the mitzvahs of the Torah and all of what's to come and all of the covenant. Today, Hashem Elokecha is commanding you to do all of his laws and all of his statutes, and you should keep them, and you should do them with all your heart and all your soul. A similar refrain. We've heard b'chol v'avcha nafshcha a number of times already in the Torah. That's being repeated here. It's sort of the broad introduction to what's to come. But the question we always have to ask, and we've asked it many times before, on every time the Torah says Hayom Hazeh, this day, we have to ask what exactly that means and why the Torah goes out of its way to say this day. It's not this day that God commanded them to keep the mitzvahs. God commanded them in Har Sinai. God commanded them 10 times before this. Moshe Rabbeinu reminded them of it 30 times before this. Now, of course, it's coming to fruition. They're going to agree to a covenant, but they're not being commanded in it today, right? They're commanded in it long ago. So what does Hayom Hazeh mean? This day, Hashem is commanding you. So Rashi says, as he does a number of times, I think we've seen this 2 or 3 times already just in the last, month or 2 months of Parshios at the end of Bamidbar and Dvarim. I can't even remember right now where all of them are, but we've seen it a number of times, the very same Rashi, almost identical. Today God commanded you? No, not today. God didn't literally command you today, but the Torah says today, because b'chol yom iyu beinecha chadashim keilu bo bayom nitztavesa alehem. Every day the commandments should be new to you, as if you were commanded in them today. The introduction to the bris, Jewish people, you want to be in a covenant with God, you want to keep his mitzvahs, you want to have success spiritually in your future, remember one thing. every day should feel as if God commanded these commandments to you today. God instructed you in these commandments today. They should be new. They should be novel. They should be exciting. You should have a passion and a fervor for them as if it's the first time that you're ever encountering them. We've seen this concept, I said, a number of times before. And really, hidden in these words, Hayom Hazeh, is the whole preface to really what's to come in general. It actually comes up again, even in this very parsha. Forget going backwards, just go forwards a little bit. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Here we go again. A little bit later in this very same parsha, just in the next aliyah, tomorrow's aliyah. You should all listen. Hayom hazeh niyesa l'am l'Hashem Elokecha. Today you became a nation. Today you became a nation? No. You became a nation in Mitzrayim. You became a nation in Har Sinai. You became a nation before. Why is it Hayom hazeh? I think there's a Rashi here as well. Hayom hazeh niyesa l'am. B'chol yom yu beinecha kilu hayom basa imo bebris. Again, the same thing. Every time we have Hayom, it's God reminding us that every day it should be new. The covenant should be new. The commandments should be new. The relationship, everything should be new, right? So you saw, even though I didn't bring them up on the screen, a couple of times already in the past we've seen this concept. Now twice in our parsha we've seen the concept. I know it may be getting old, but I think it's always worth remembering it. I love this idea. I think it's a beautiful idea. It's an obvious idea, but it's something that I think bears repeating over and over because we do fall into patterns. We do fall into routines. Things become kind of old. Things become kind of rote. And that does deplete our motivation. It does deplete our energies. But if we could just tweak in our head, just hayom hazeh, like every day we wake up, modeh, and now I'm not engaging in the mitzvahs that were commanded thousands and thousands of years ago. I'm engaging in a mitzvah. Hashem is coming to me today and saying, Bram Weinberg, I want you to put on tefillin. I want you to daven. It's like God personally inviting me every day into the mitzvahs. That's hayom hazeh. Hayom hazeh, this day. So that's why the Torah keeps repeating it, and that's why perhaps Rashi keeps repeating it as well, because it's an important point for us to remember. Thank you, Debbie, for your message. Yes, by definition, it's not getting old. Each time we learn, it's new. That's the point. Very beautiful. Thank you for capturing that, and looking forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Again, anew. Hayom hazeh.
Hayom hazeh, toda rabah.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Rabbi.